Hi, I'm Sarah, one of the coaches here at Dumpling. Today, I'm joined by Coach Ashley and one of our successful business owners, Rachel, of PS Deliveries with Rachel from the Metro Detroit area. Rachel started her dumpling business in the summer of 2022 and has completed over 160 orders on the platform so far. Today, we're going to be chatting with Rachel about her business and how she got started and where she is today. Hey, Rachel, and welcome.
Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us today. Would you mind giving us some information on where you started prior to finding Dumpling and what kind of made you want to start your own business?
Absolutely. So I started with Shipt in, let's see, it was around COVID time. I was transitioning from my previous job. I had to resign due to virtual learning with my daughter. So I was trying to find something that was more flexible with her online schooling. So I started with Shipt and I had been doing that for a few years. And then Shipt kind of changed their ways a bit. And then I found online that some shoppers were starting to join Dumpling, which is ultimately the same as Shipt, except it is your own business. And that right there triggered that aha moment. Like, I can do what I'm doing now, but it'll be mine instead of Shipt being the boss. I will be my own boss.
That's awesome. I have kind of similar story on mine as well. What do you like the most about it being yours instead of working under a typical gig?
Well, the fact that I can have the option of being able who to choose. Um, Shipt gives you the orders if they want to give them to you. With the dumpling, I make that choice. I can decide, you know, oh, I know you're a great tipper, so I'm going to try and bring them from the Shipt side to my side because I enjoy shopping for them. And when they go straight through me, it goes straight to me. I don't have to rely on a gig company to make money. It's my choice. I choose my clientele. I have the option if I want to work on Tuesday from this time to this time, I can have the option of, this is my schedule and I'm booked this day until 4. I don't have to like hope and pray that from another gig that I'm going to be booked until 4. At least I know with my own, I can see it, I can plan it days, weeks ahead, and I don't have to have that reliability with a gig.
I love that you said that because often what we see on other gigs, right, is it's not just a matter of they say work when you want to work, but in reality, they have busy periods or periods where there's more shoppers fighting for orders. And
Yep.
so it was hard for me with parenting too, right? Because I would say I want to work Tuesday until 3 or 4, but I would end up working Tuesday until 6, or I would end up sitting outside of a store for a long time waiting and then only working from 2, or, that order at 2 carries you out of town and you don't get back in time. It was so stressful to manage. And so being able to say, this is when I'm available and the people want you enough that they're like, I'm happy to order Tuesday at 1. That works for me.
Exactly. And that's how it's been. So I have 2 Tuesday regulars and I'll have someone else message me and say, what day are you free this week? And they're so flexible and they want you to be their shopper that they're willing to work with your schedule. So since I already have a couple orders lined up Tuesday, I'll say, hey, Tuesday at this time will work great. And then that's how you can also build like you said, Tuesday I want to work till 4. Let's try and build those time slots up until the time that you can and just make a whole day out of it.
Exactly. Awesome. So, how would you say your previous experience shaped your dumpling business, coming from Shipt and then kind of going over into your own business? There was anything in particular that kind of helped to shape that or to, make that kind of get that moving for you?
Yep. So just the fact of building relationships, just like with any other customer service oriented position that it entails, The more that you are yourself, the more involved you are with them. That really helped me shape what my app with Dumpling is with my customers. So I consider Shipt as a stepping stone. So just like when you're out of college, you need that first, position to kind of get you out there to get that experience. And Shipt gave me that opportunity to just kind of build up and give me that experience for what I have created with Dumpling. So one thing that I can say about starting with Shipt is that it did give me, the errors that I made, I learned from them, and I learned, what I learned with Shipt, I brought that over to Dumpling, and just the fact that if you treat your customers right and you treat them like family, just like, in the normal world, when you go to a coffee shop and they know your name and they know what your drink is, you want to keep going back there because you feel like family. That's the same exact reasoning with shopping.
And kind of on a related note, have your clients ever said anything to you like, this is the difference that I see using your service with another gig, or what is it that comes up a lot?
Probably just personable. Like the fact that I always mention to people that I'm not just shopping their groceries. I'm probably the only person they're going to see that week. A lot of my customers are elderly, and when I'm over there, I take their trash out for them. I change their light bulbs for them. I do things that, not a normal delivery person would do, or give them the time of day, or listen to what's going on, or what show they watch, or something they saw on the news that they want to talk about. So it's not just delivering groceries, it's more of an experience as well that you get, that friendship experience that they might not get any other time of the week or month for that matter.
Yeah, it's more like they have someone assisting them than they have someone just delivering for them.
Exactly. And it's not like I'm treating them like a caregiver. I'm their friend. I deliver their groceries, we talk. They don't feel obligated to, you know, be there, and they don't feel like I have to be there. I choose to be there. We chat just like any other person, any other sister, cousin, whoever they have. That's how they treat me, and that's how I treat them.
So great. It's really awesome that just the difference in the relationship building, because like you said, you're not able to get that within the other gigs because you may not see that same client for another month or even, a couple of months. If you're so being able to build that is super, super important. And I think it goes for a lot of different things, right? It's, the trust. So no matter what your age, especially when you get into, people that may be elderly, if they're not able to get out of the house, they want people that they can trust to come into their house, or maybe grab their mail or take their trash out for them while they're walking out to their car, things like that. You're not necessarily going to get with the gig apps, or when people are, maybe they're I know for one, I had a client that was like on vacation and they were coming home that day, but they were coming home later in the evening and they're like, listen, we have no food in the house. Here's the code. Can you go load our fridge? And I did it because they trusted me. They're not even home, but they trusted me enough to be in their house when they weren't there. And that is it's such a level of, you can't get that really anywhere. No. Because to give somebody, whether it's a key or a code, that's a huge, huge relationship right there. So I think that's really awesome.
For sure.
Great. So what would you say is a challenge that you've either overcome in like the beginning of your business or just in general throughout you've been in business? You're going on almost a year in a couple of months. So a challenge or multiple challenges maybe that you've kind of overcome throughout that time.
So the main challenge that I still face is having people make the switch from whatever delivery service they have now to me. We're creatures of habit. We get used to the same routine. We want to just keep things how they are because they're going well. So one thing that I have been trying to challenge myself is to not necessarily push people, because I'm not a pushy kind of person, but just kind of lead the way, kind of leave little crumbs for them to get a little taste of this and that and make them want more. So I will, on my Facebook page, I would, leave a picture of a store receipt, add another picture of, let's say, Shipt's pricing, and compare the two. Since we get in-store pricing, look at that. And then they'll say, well, your delivery fee is higher. My delivery fee may be higher, but if you factor in Shipt's pricing, it's going to balance out. And the plus is you'll get me every single time. So when you kind of give them a visual and kind of, just keep leaving those crumbs and have them continue to get different shoppers and different shopping habits from people that they don't like, eventually, slowly but surely, that path will widen and they'll come through.
Exactly. I think so. What you said is super, it's spot on, right? So many times clients coming from another gig, whether it's Shipt or Instacart or really any gig that's out there, they don't understand that $5 or $10 delivery fee that they see is not the only charge, right? A lot of times, depending on the store, there's that hidden markup that you just do not see. Your fees are completely different. It's a upfront in your face saying, this is how much I charge. You're paying in-store pricing. So there's nothing hidden on the back end wondering like, am I paying that in-store pricing? Is milk really $5 a gallon at, Costco today? Whatever it may be. Actually, it may be $5 a gallon at Costco.
Yeah.
They have no idea because they're just looking at the app, whether it's Shipt or Instacart, and saying, yep, that's the price. Most of the time it's not going to be the actual in-store price. So you give that price transparency. It's upfront and in your face. And I really love how you said, like, you're not there to push, you're leaving those trails of breadcrumbs. And if it's something that they're like, oh, you know what? I've had one too many times of not such a great service, or I don't like the fact that I don't know the actual pricing. I don't get the receipt, all of this stuff.
Right.
Once they hit that, they'll be like, well, Rachel, I remember seeing her Facebook post, and hopefully give you a try. And then once they give you a try, it usually kind of grabs them in and they stay there.
Exactly.
Second order, once you get that, it's like, okay, now you got a repeat client, and chances are they're not going to go away, at least not back to another gig.
Yep.
I like the way that you said that too, because a lot of times it's not like you just approach someone once and they switch, right? We sometimes think in our head that if someone says no, that's it. The answer is no. When in reality, sometimes it's not right now, or I don't understand yet. And so being able to tell them a couple different ways or a couple different times and kind of gradually get them to understand the difference or follow those breadcrumbs, as you called it.
Yep.
Can help a lot. It makes it so that it's really their choice to follow you. They're excited. They're asking questions without giving them so much information that they're like, this is overwhelming. I don't understand why I would switch. That's too much, because that is a mistake that sometimes we see people make coming in that they have to kind of learn, right? Is we get so passionate about it, about what we do or don't like about the other apps, about our excitement for our business. And especially if we're confused, that just adds into it. And sometimes we kind of pile that on, right? And so I really appreciate the way that you worded that you just kind of leave them the breadcrumbs to follow. You don't push them. They eventually see that value, as well as have the understanding of what the pricing model is, and then they can make that choice. So thank you for answering it that way. It's super helpful.
Yeah. Yesterday, I actually had a customer through Shipt that I have not seen in probably about 2 months. I was her weekly shopper for a while, and then I haven't seen her. So she asked me why she hasn't seen me, and I kind of explained the whole Shipt model. I had given her my business card before. She said she misplaced it, and she was like, to be honest, the fee kind of scared me because of how much it was. But then after I gave her my card, she scanned the QR code. We looked at it together, and I kind of compared the Shipt pricing versus mine. I pulled up my Facebook posts and I showed her. And she said this weekend she'll probably sit down with her grandkids and they're going to figure out with her how to do it, since she is elderly. She's a little older. So she does need help in that aspect. And then my number was on my card. I said, if you want me to come over one day, help you walk you through it, help you figure it out, I'm here for you. So it's just another example of, I helped her before, gave her my business card. It was kind of in the back of her head, kind of just simmering a little bit. And then she saw me, and then there it was again. It clicked. I remember. And hopefully this weekend I'll have that lead and I'll be shopping for her every week just like I used to.
I think that's a good point too, because what happened, right, is she didn't see you for a while. And then it was very clear in her mind that like, oh, this is different. The person I prefer is Rachel, right? The person
Yep.
who cares for me or learns my preferences. And just a heads up, it looks like Sarah had an internet issue, and so she should be hopping back in, but we can just continue on. Until then, the perks of working from home is sometimes we have these issues. So,
Or cat. Cat just
yeah,
wanna-
exactly. And so I guess my next question is, what is your business like niche, or what sets you apart from other shoppers, other gigs, or is there any sort of difference that you provide? I know you talked about doing little extras for them, like taking out the garbage.
Yep.
Is there anything specific that you kind of lean towards?
So right now I mainly do just the grocery pickups and just little odds and ends around the house. I do offer RX deliveries as well. So in that case, I would just use my own personal card and then I would just attach the delivery fee on with their groceries, since it's at the same location. And then they would normally reimburse me either with cash when I get there, or they just simply add it as an extra gratuity after delivery. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 kind of thing. So I'm shopping the groceries and getting their prescription. So in the future, I do hope to, possibly do more different varieties of delivery, like with Valentine's Day coming up, I would love to do some kind of, like flower basket, chocolate kind of thing, a balloon bouquet. But just with my schedule right now, I'm hoping next year at around this time I can do something like that. And even Easter, I might be able to whip something up for Easter, possibly deliver Easter eggs Easter morning to some kids. Just have the Easter bunny surprise them with little plastic eggs in their yard in the morning or the night before, or a family gathering. They need someone to help with baskets. So there's so many things that are in my mind that I want to try and do, but time is of the essence and it's on my list. Eventually I'll get to it, but it's there. It's definitely there.
That's so fun. Easter is one of my favorites. We call it different things depending on what year it is, but usually I call it like bunny services, something like that. So what I do basically is I just like arrange with the customers ahead of time. What does your kid like? Well, I'll kind of scour the store for that. Here's some pictures of what they have. And then when I drop off their next groceries, so it might be 2 weeks ahead, but when I drop off their next grocery, we kind of work out where I'll maybe leave something on the side of the house or in the garage when the kids aren't at the door yet, and then I'll deliver the normal groceries to the door, and that way they can just go hide it after bedtime and no one knows any different. It's nice because it means I don't have to do it all Easter weekend when I'm with my own kid, right? But
right.
Kind of space it out. And it's fun. I love those holidays like that. It's just fun to be able to talk about, here's different things that are in the store right now that they're not seeing, or here's some fun things happening. And it just kind of, it helps a lot, especially in like slower months, right? To be able to kind of look at those holidays. So I think that'll be so fun. I'm excited to see how that goes for you and what creative take you end up putting on it. But it's fun. And it's something that people really like remember and they'll talk to their friends about. It's a happy experience. We've got someone in Florida who does like big birthday things where she shows up with like balloons and cakes and stuff like that. At a university, the parents are out of town and they're so sad they can't be with their kids. And so they love to see like the picture or the video of their kid getting this thing from them that makes them feel like they're there. So, lots of fun ideas. We've got someone else that does like sort of gift bag where she makes them in bulk and then sells them as a flat fee, and people send them to their friend, kind of like a candygram.
Right.
So yeah, the sky's the limit on those. If you ever need help, of course, Sarah and I are happy to help with those, but they're fun. I would say, like you said, Valentine's is so close, right? The store's cleared out of Valentine's stuff. Think about like what's a month or two out. So you have time to kind of plan it, and it's not
Right.
a huge undertaking. A lot of people do, like when the summer starts, pools are opening and kids need swimsuits or floaties or things like that. So it doesn't even have to be holidays, but that'll
Like
be,
a last day of school package would be awesome. It's the
yeah,
last day of school. Here's the summer fun basket. Something fun like that.
yeah, that's awesome. Perfect. And then I think within that, is there any marketing that you do now that works best for your business?
Right now, it's mainly word of mouth, which is the best kind of business because number one, it's free. And number two, when you hear it from someone, you know it's real. You know it's true. You actually see their expressions, their reactions. They are very detail oriented when it comes to how you shop. Rachel picks 3 green bananas and 2 yellow bananas. She makes sure my apples don't have any bruising on them, so I feel like word of mouth is what really gets me the most, other than social media, because you can't really get any better than word of mouth.
Definitely agree with that. That's what we coach to everybody is word of mouth is that it's the golden ticket, right? You
Yep.
can't better than that. Social media is great, but yeah, having somebody else, whether it's a neighbor or just somebody that you're shopping for, suggest you to somebody they know, that is just that's where you're doing a really good job.
Yep.
So when it comes to social media, what kind of made you comfortable using it? Obviously, you're more so utilizing the word of mouth, but when you do use
Right.
social, a lot of people, they're just like, where do I start? And they feel very overwhelmed. So what kind of helped you feel comfortable using it?
So I use a lot of other dumpling shoppers pages as ideas. Chuck Elliott, he lives in Michigan, the same exact state as I do. We talk frequently. We bounce ideas off of each other. So sometimes I'll see something that he posts or something that he says, just kind of gets my ideas going, and things that I never would have thought of, just like when you see something on Pinterest, I never would have thought of that. And then there you are making it, there you are doing it, there you are, being the best at it. So I would say that with my social media, I'm not as active on it as I would hope to be. Um, I've tried to do the scheduling of posts. So I have done that to make sure I'm kind of somewhat active at least a few times a week, which is why I love word of mouth, because I don't have to schedule it. It just kind of happens. So I would say that just watching other shoppers' pages, getting ideas, talking, that is really what helps me kind of set the bar for my social media page.
I love that so much, because when we're on other gigs, sometimes the other shoppers can almost feel like competition. You really are fighting for the same orders.
Yep.
And if they're kind of doing behavior that's not great, it impacts you. So that can be a friction relationship. But here we definitely see a lot of people who are more open to like a colleague type of relationship. Like, this is someone in my industry. I can teach them, I can learn from them, we can help each other. And we're not taking each other's clients. So it's a totally different thing, even when you're in the same area, right? And so I love that you mentioned that, because that for me was a big thing when I started too, was just, oh my gosh, there's people here and they're nice and they're welcoming and they're helpful and they talk to me like a person. I'm no longer just like that random shopper. And
Yep, giving you the side eye, like, why are you over here?
yeah. And it's so different, right? Because of course we still make mistakes, but to have someone kind of treat it with grace and use it as a learning instead of like a, well, I'm mad at you now or whatever it may be, it's a huge difference. And it it made it feel not so alone, even though you are shopping alone and your own business with just you. That part of the first year of my business was everything. I mean, even now, of course, I love connecting with other shoppers, but it really helped kind of keep my motivation going in that first year. And then eventually when I moved in my business, being able to trust someone to take my clients and things like that, totally different. So if anyone listening is open to that, absolutely see who's in your area or who has a similar business and encourage each other, follow each other. And the nice thing is, even if you're just liking their social media post, even if they're in a different area, that can help social media algorithms to kind of help them find their clients. And same thing if they're liking your stuff. So it definitely has some other benefits as well.
Exactly.
And then I know we talked a little bit about the fun holiday things that you want to add. Is there anything else that you see with your business? Like, where do you see your business in the future?
In the future, I hope to grow. I don't want to be crazy busy, but I don't want to be non-existent. I want to be kind of somewhat in the middle. So that way, whatever kind of regular normal job that I do get in the future, I will always have Dumpling as something that I will continue to do. And I can decide how busy I want that side of my business to be, which is what I love about it. So right now I am hoping by the end of the year to gain somewhere between 5 and 10 clients, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when they order every week or even every other week, and then when they start talking to other people, that it'll grow. So I don't want to be so overwhelmed with having to schedule them and not being able to accommodate their needs and times of day that they want things delivered. So I just hope in the future, within the year, that I do grow a little and I'm able to keep the customers that I do have.
So what has been the most exciting change within the Dumpling app since you started your business, if anything at all?
I can't really think of anything off the top of my head since I'm fairly new with it. But I will say that something exciting that the customers love is being able to reach out to me instead of going through a middleman like Shipt. So that is one exciting thing for them on the customer side, is that if they need to change their time or the day of delivery, they're able to contact me and I can do it all on my end. They don't have to call a 1-800 number, wait, get someone that actually understands what they're saying, do it the right way that they wanted. It's all done through me, which is great. So I'd say on the customer end through Dumpling, something new is just the shopper being able to have more variety of things that we can do on our end instead of relying on a company to switch things up for us.
Exactly. I think so. For me, the biggest thing was when I made a mistake, they never were able to get a hold of me with Instacart, right? And I hated making mistakes because I felt like the worst person in the world. My whole job was to get you.
Yep.
And with Dumpling, oh my gosh, they just ring you up and they're like, oh my, I forgot my eggs, or what happened to, I had ordered this steak, but you got me this, it wasn't the one that I was looking for. And I'm able to go and make it right. Like I don't have to wait for a 3-star review to come in and then say, by the way, you left. There was one time I left 2 full insulated bags of items in my car for over 24 hours. And I didn't notice until I got the review and I went out and I'm like, no way, how did I even do that? Like 2 full bags in my trunk that I didn't even check. And I'm such a horrible person because that was all their milk and there was some baby products in there and like things that they probably needed that they didn't get. So the fact that clients can just ring you up and say, hey, Rachel, my eggs are kind of missing or my eggs were broken. Are you able to kind of go grab another one for me? Or, coming out that way later in the week, I don't need them right now, those types of things.
Yep. Like chocolate chips. I forgot chocolate chips in the little grocery corral because I bagged it by itself and I missed it. Delivered to one of my customers. On my way back to the store to do another shop, she called and she's like, hey, I don't mean to bother you, because, our customers are awesome like that. And they think that, they're interrupting our precious time. But when you have a second, can you like check and see if you left my chocolate chip somewhere? I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just chocolate chips. But to us, it's like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe I forgot your chocolate chips. It's a big deal. So I went back to the register I was on. They had it tucked away, and I was able to give them to her. And if it was through Instacart or Shipt, we would have had cut off all communication. I probably would have just, totally forgot about chocolate chips. Didn't even cross my mind until she said something. And then I'm like, oh yeah, they were in a bag by themselves. So that's awesome that, that communication is just always open-ended and it's never cut off.
Well, and within that too, it doesn't have to just be mistakes, right? It can be, hey, it's your birthday soon, or hey, how are you doing in the storm, or whatever it may be. It just is more like a normal customer relationship.
Yep.
Because it's almost jarring, right? That like you're still talking to someone and then all of a sudden you can't. What if you're like, I've had crazy situations, right? Where like someone's dog is running down the road and we're cut off. I have to literally stop an order or call support and like get back to their house. And just being able to communicate in between and be humans is so nice. And it can also help them have more flexibility too, right? Because they can say like, oh, you have a sale, or the store has a sale right now. Are you available? It just has a lot of different purposes. And I think we don't talk about that very often, but it is a huge benefit to just them working with you. Is that it's not just, they're not your customer when you get to the store until you drop off. They're your customer all the time.
All the time. And I'm always thinking of them. Janine is one of them. And she is on a very specific diet, gluten-free, dairy-free. And Meyer had marked down a lot of their gluten-free items for a remodel that they're doing. And as soon as I saw the whole aisle of like gluten-free items half off, I texted her and I'm like, hey, all these items are half off. I snapped pictures. I sent them to her. I said, let me know if you want to put an order in, because all this stuff is normally on your list every week and it's all half off. So then she called me and she's like, I'm putting it in right now. Add this, add this, add this, add this. And then she's like, if you see anything else, grab it. So I know we know their shopping habits. We know their diets. So as soon as I see something that I think that they like, that's on sale, or something that has been out of for a long time, I'll snatch it and I'll buy it and hold on to it. And then when I see them again, when I shop for them, I'm like, surprise, here's your seasoning you've been looking for the past 3 weeks. And it's just that little thing that will just make their day. You have no idea.
Yeah. I have a customer like that who we are both vegetarian. And so it's fun sometimes because we'll be in the store and there'll be like a new thing geared towards us. And even if I'm not shopping for her, I can take a picture and text her and say, have you tried these? Are they good? Right.
Right.
And we can kind of recommend food to each other that way. And she's not in the store, right? Especially when I was shopping for her during COVID, to see that. And so it's a fun way for us to connect as people. It's definitely helped me try new foods in my house, but it's also
fellow foodies.
Her, she knows what's new now. And sometimes when there's something new, there could really be a coupon or something for it. Or like if the store brand comes out with it, it'll be a lot cheaper. And so it's just a fun kind of connection. When you know someone's food habits, they say food is personal, right? Kind of end up knowing a lot about them when you know their food habits.
Yep.
My next question for you is, what is your takeaway? I know we haven't had you at office hours for a bit because you're so busy, but when you came, was there anything that kind of sparked your interest from attending?
Sparked my interest. I would just say, just the openness of all the office hours. I know that now you guys are having the sessions where it's topic related, but then you still have the open ones, which is awesome because That way we kind of know when we should or should not hop on, or make it more of a point to be available during that time. So I know the one coming up is like for taxes. Well, this is my first year with Dumpling, so I'm gonna try and make it a point to hop on for that one, because that's a great topic to talk about. So I would just say having both of the options of having the open office hours to just talk about whatever you want freely, and then the topics themselves, it just makes it more able more flexibility to be able to make it when you know exactly what's coming up.
I think that was the point when we started to do the topics, was we started without them, and we're like, you know what, there's so many people, they want to come to them, but they can't always, right? And they want to know, is this going to be a topic that's going to be kind of, something that's related to me or within my business? So starting those topics, that's exactly what we want to do. Is you guys can take a look at that calendar and say, ooh, there's that tax seminar. Of course, I want to go to that. And you can add it to your calendar. Yep. Or, oh, we're going to be talking about, pricing. Again, we're going to, deep dive into pricing. And if that's something you're interested in, you can add that to your calendar. And then of course, we still have those kind of free-for-alls where everybody can drop in and talk about whatever it is that they want to talk about. We have some really great conversations and some kind of off the wall conversations sometimes, which is really nice. And I think one of my favorite quotes from somebody that has joined office hours is, she finds it's like a community. It's like her coworkers, right? Her colleagues. She can join, and even though she's never met anybody, and we're all from, all across the United States, we're all kind of in the same boat together. So it's really awesome to just hear everybody's, whether it's tips or tricks, or if they're struggling with something, because they're probably not the only person struggling at that point. So
exactly. Yep. We're all in this together pretty much.
Awesome. And then so you did sign up after we started the university. So was that something that you kind of went through? And if so, how did you find the process within that?
So it was all pretty self-explanatory, which is something else that I like about the app. Is when you first sign up, it's a process. So all the arrows point you to where you need to go to learn how to do this, learn how to do that, how to follow this. So I kind of like how it's called university, because you're learning. With the other gigs, it's like, here's this, find out yourself, follow this link and go here. At least with the Dumpling, there's topics, there's like chapters that you would click to learn about all the different tips and tricks and trades and how to process things and add things. And that's one thing about the university that I liked, is that it's not just one book. It's not just one link that you click. It's different topics that you follow. And it's like, once you do this, then you do this, and then you do that. And communication with you guys is always open too, with messaging. So if there's a question that I need to be answered, I would just send a quick message, and according to the topic, will depend on who I need to message, which is also awesome. Do I need to talk to a coach about this? Do I need to talk to someone, in the processing and order section? Everything is just cut and dry, which is what I really liked about it.
That's a nice way to describe it. The way we've set that up, right, is to do that, to be, here's a little step that's next, instead of all these overwhelming looming steps. And that people can say, okay, I want to do this one at 10 o'clock at night after the kids go to bed. I want to do this one at 2 in the afternoon. And then within that, right, there's essentially 2 to 3 inboxes. We have the SOS, we have our support, and then the coaching. But the nice thing is we have a very small staff, and we have access to that. And so obviously, if you write into SOS in the wrong box on the weekend, it might be delayed. But generally, if people write into the wrong one, there's a human being. It'll start with a little robot to try to get you to the right place, but then there's a human being who can say, actually, this person can answer that better than me, and we can just move it. That is not the experience I had on other apps. I would sit on the hold for an hour and then have someone not helpful. And so we've definitely tried to make sure that that's not what's happening. Sometimes people might wait throughout the day if it's a less urgent question, but the right person will be answering it and give them an answer. So
right.
Glad that you mentioned that too, because we really, really try to make sure that that is a smooth experience. Several of us here have worked with other gigs, and we understand that pain point. So we're always making sure that we're kind of the opposite in that regard.
Yes, and that's one of the many pluses of having this app is that communication is always there. You don't have to go through 7 people to find one answer that one of those 7 people should definitely know.
Exactly. Awesome. And then our last question for you is if you could give one tip to someone else building a delivery business, what would that be?
I would say to start small. We all want to get rich overnight. We all want to be successful overnight. And one thing that I learned, not just through Dumpling, but just in life itself, is that you always want to start small. When you start too big, you get big. You get big-headed. You get big ideas that are sometimes great, but the big ego kind of leads you downhill from there. So it's always the best to just kind of start small. If you are upset because, 10 cards that you delivered to customers and not one of those customers have, even downloaded the app yet, that's fine because eventually one of them will, just like the one person I talked about before. I used to shop for her every week, left her a card. It was in the back of her head, like, oh yeah, I remember. We crossed paths again somehow, and hopefully she's going to be one of my regulars again. So I would just say start small, less opportunity for you to have more errors. You can learn things a lot better when you start small because you are focused more on what you have than what you don't have. So that's my tip.
That's awesome.
I think that is absolutely perfect. Couldn't have said it better myself. Awesome. Well, Rachel, we really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today about your business and just share all the different experiences, both before and during your business, just for other business owners or people who are thinking, is this maybe, a good fit for me as well? And just to kind of get a little bit of information of, what is it like for an actual business owner that is on the Dumpling platform? We really enjoyed chatting with you today. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it so much.
Yeah, thank you. I love to, help everyone else that was in the same situation that I was and still am. We are continuing to grow, and as long as we keep chugging along and keep trying, eventually everything will just fall into place.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. And with that, have a good day, everybody.
Thank you very much.